Glen Whittaker died on September 8, 2024, at the age of 79, at the kitchen table of the white farmhouse he'd lived in since 1962, on the 320 acres outside Ludlow, Illinois, his own father had bought during the Eisenhower administration. Glen left a single son, Lamar Whittaker, 47, a bridge inspector for the Illinois Department of Transportation, living in Springfield, and he left a 1974 John Deere 403 with 9,840 hours on the meter, the same 403 he'd bought new for $14,200 in March of 1974 from the Lyman family Paxton dealership. The 4030 was an 80-horsepower six-cylinder. The 6404D inline diesel, 404 cubic inches, naturally aspirated. Synchro range 8-speed transmission. Closed center hydraulics. Cat 2 3-point hitch. The same dark factory green Glen had washed every Saturday afternoon for 50 years. If this kind of story matters to you, the kind where the work is honest and the iron tells the truth, we'd be honored if you subscribed. The estate auction was set for Saturday, October 12th, 2024, at the Whittaker farm outside Ludlow. Imogene Barr, the family lawyer at Barr and Halberg in Paxton, had handled Whittaker estate paperwork for 30 years. Imogene recommended Pelton Auction Service in Onarga to run the sale. Rance Pelton was a fourth-generation Iroquois County auctioneer, licensed since 1989, with a clean state record. The fee was 8% of gross. Lamar couldn't be at the auction. He was inspecting a steel truss bridge over the Rock River up in Whiteside County that whole weekend. The state had pulled all bridge inspectors to a backlog clearance after the spring derecho. Lamar signed the auction contract on October 4th and authorized Imogene as his agent on the day of the sale. Rance Pelton ran the auction at noon under a clear, cool October sky. 240 registered bidders walked the lot. The 4030 was lot number 31. The book value on a 1974 403 Owen working order, with 9,840 hours and a clean cab, was somewhere between $18,000 and $22,000 in the 2024 market, depending on the buyer. The reserve price Lamar had set was $16,000. The 4030 sold for $7,400 to a man named Mick Halsey from Loda, Illinois. The hammer fell at 1:14 p.m. Imogene Barr was sitting in a folding chair under the auction tent, and she watched it happen. She wrote the figure down in her notebook. She put a small question mark in the margin. If you're still here, subscribe. The numbers in this story are real, and so are the dealers behind them. Imogene called Lamar from the gravel drive at 1:38 p.m. as the auction crew started moving on to the implements lot. Lamar, the 4030 sold. For what? Lamar asked. $7,400. Imogene, the reserve was $16,000. I know. Rance waved off the reserve once the bidding stalled at $7,400. Said the market wasn't there today, and the cost of moving an unsold tractor back to the shed wasn't worth holding the price. Who bought her? Lamar asked. A man named Mick Halsey from Loda. Drove a brown Silverado with rust on the rockers. Wrote the deposit check on a personal account, balance to be paid by Tuesday. Imogene, what did the room look like when she came up? Lamar asked. Quiet, Imogene said. 2 bidders, Mick and a man from Watsika, who topped out at $7,200. Most of the registered bidders had cleared out for the implement lot already. "That doesn't feel right," Lamar said. "It didn't feel right to me either, Lamar," Imogene replied. "I wrote a question mark down. We'll see what Tuesday looks like." Mick Halsey paid the balance on Tuesday morning and trailered the 4030 out of the Whittaker yard at 11 a.m. Imogene watched the brown Silverado and a single-axle equipment trailer pull away through the dust. She kept her notebook on the passenger seat of her Outback. 2 weeks later, on Wednesday, October 30th, 2024, Lamar's nephew Caleb, 22 years old, agriculture student at Illinois State, was scrolling through TractorHouse.com on his laptop in his Bloomington apartment, looking at planters for a friend's family. Caleb stopped on a listing for a 1974 John Deere 4030, 9,840 hours, dark factory green paint, located in Onarga, Illinois. Asking price, $19,500. The lead photo was the same gravel drive Caleb had walked 100 times as a boy. The cab had the same crack in the lower left corner of the rear window his grandfather Glen had refused to replace for 28 years. Caleb called Lamar at 7:14 p.m. that Wednesday. "Uncle Lamar, Granddad's 4030's listed online," Caleb said. "Caleb, you sure?" Lamar asked. "The crack in the rear window, the dent at the top of the right rear fender from the corn header in 1989, the paint chip on the muffler shroud where Granddad caught it on the gate post in 2003. "It's her," Caleb answered. "What's the asking?" Lamar asked. $19,500, listed by a private seller in Onarga, Illinois. Phone number with an Onarga area code I don't recognize, Caleb replied. "Caleb, send me the link," Lamar said. Lamar drove the 105 miles from Springfield to Gibson City the following Saturday. He'd never met Earl Braddock in person. He'd heard about Earl from his cousin Renata, who'd married into the Cordes family near Buckley. Renata had said Earl was the man to call when a fair shake had gone sideways and a number wasn't adding up. Earl met Lamar at the gravel drive of the Braddock farmstead at 10 a.m. that Saturday morning. Earl walked over to the driver's window of the deep red Ram 1500. Earl wore his olive-green John Deere mesh cap, pulled low against the November wind. The dark tan Carhartt chore coat sat open over a buffalo check flannel. His steel blue eyes met Lamar's. "Lamar, Renata said you'd come," Earl said. "Earl, thank you for taking the time," Lamar replied. "Show me the listing," Earl said. Lamar pulled the Tractor House listing up on his phone. Earl studied the photographs for a full 2 minutes. The dark factory green, the crack in the rear window, the dent on the right rear fender, the paint chip on the muffler shroud. "That's your father's tractor," Earl said. "That's Granddad's tractor," Lamar replied. "What did she sell for at the auction?" Earl asked. $7,400 to a man named Mick Halsey from Loda," Lamar answered. "And the listing's at $19,500, Earl said. "2 weeks after the auction. Phone number's an Onarga area code," Lamar said. "Lamar, who ran the auction?" Earl asked. "Pelton Auction Service in Onarga. Rance Pelton," Lamar replied. Earl's jaw tightened a quarter inch. He looked across the gravel drive at the line of soft yellow sycamore leaves at the edge of the lawn. "Rance Pelton's brother-in-law's name is Halsey," Earl said. "Mick Halsey married Rance's younger sister Charlene in 1996. Mick doesn't farm. Mick works seasonal at the Onarga grain elevator. He's been the registered low bidder on 6 estate auctions Rance has run since 2019 that I know of personally. Earl, are you saying, Lamar started. I'm saying Mick Halsey didn't drive a brown Silverado to your father's auction to put his own money down on an 80-horse John Deere he has nowhere to keep and no farm to run her on, Earl said. Mick Halsey was holding the bid for Rance. Rance flips the tractor at her real value through the auction yard's private side, splits the spread with Mick. Lamar, you didn't get $7,400 for your father's tractor. You got fleeced by an auctioneer with a license. What do I do? Lamar asked. You call Imogene Barr. You call her tonight, Earl said. You tell her exactly what Caleb showed you. You ask her to pull every public record of every estate auction Rance Pelton has run in Iroquois County since 2019. Will you come with me to the meeting? Lamar asked. I'll come, Earl said. Imogene Barr met Lamar and Earl at her Paxton office at 8:30 a.m. the following Monday morning, November 4th, 2024. Imogene brought a yellow legal pad and her own notebook from auction day. Earl brought a printed page with the tractor house listing photographs and the listing's metadata showing the upload date of October 28, 2024, 16 days after the Whittaker auction. Imogene, the buyer's name is Mick Halsey, Earl said. Mick is married to Rance Pelton's younger sister, Charlene. The marriage license is a matter of Iroquois County Circuit Clerk public record from 1996. Earl, that's a clear conflict of interest at the auctioneer level, Imogene said. It's worse than a conflict. It's a structured shill, Earl said. I can name 3 other estate sales in the past 5 years where Mick was the registered low bidder on the headline lot. Hardin Estate, 2019. Ostrander Estate, 2021. Layla Parrish's late husband Frank's auction in 2023. Layla Parrish told me afterward that her husband's 4255 sold for half what she'd hoped, Imogene said. I remember the conversation. She was confused, but she didn't pursue it. She didn't have a tractor house listing 2 weeks later showing a $19,500 ask, Earl said. Lamar does. Lamar, I'm going to file a formal complaint with the Illinois Department of Agriculture's Bureau of Auctioneer Regulation, Imogene said. I'm also calling Deputy Owen Marsh at the Iroquois County Sheriff's Office Fraud Investigations Unit. Owen has worked 2 prior auction shill cases successfully in the past 4 years. How long does it take? Lamar asked. To revoke a license? 6 to 9 months, Imogene replied. To return your tractor or her cash equivalent? That's a civil matter. Could be 3 months. Could be a year. Imogene, I want her back, Lamar said. I know you do, Lamar, Imogene answered. I'll do everything I can. Deputy Owen Marsh interviewed Mick Halsey at his rented house outside Loda on Thursday, November 7th, 2024, at 9 a.m. Owen pulled the white 2023 Ford Explorer Police Interceptor up to the curb of the small rented house. He walked up the front porch steps in tan Iroquois County Sheriff uniform with a leather portfolio under one arm. Mick opened the front door in a faded denim jacket and work jeans. Mr. Halsey, Owen Marsh, Iroquois County Sheriff, Owen said. Deputy, what's this about? Mick asked. The Whittaker estate auction on October 12th. The 1974 4030 you bought for $7,400. I bought a tractor at auction. That's not against the law. Mr. Halsey, the tractor was relisted on Tractor House 2 weeks later for $19,500 by your brother-in-law's auction office. We have the title transfers from the county clerk. October 15th to you. October 17th from you to Pelton Auction Service. Deputy, Mick, I'd rather not bring you down to the Onarga office. Tell me what Rance paid you. Mick admitted to Owen on the front porch within 4 minutes of the conversation that Rance had paid him $400 cash to bid up to $7,400 on the 4030 and to walk away from the lot if any other registered bidder pushed past that figure. Mick said he had no plans to keep the tractor and no place to put her. Mick said Rance had taken delivery of the 4030 at the Pelton yard on Tuesday afternoon, the same day Mick paid the auction balance. Mick said the listing on tractorhouse.com had been put up by Rance's son, Trent Pelton, from the Pelton office. Owen wrote every word down in a small leather notebook he kept in his breast pocket. Mick, I'll be back with a written statement on Monday. You'll sign it or you won't. Either way, the audit is happening. I'll sign it, Deputy, Mick said. That's the smart play. Owen pulled the registered title transfer paperwork from the Iroquois County Clerk on Thursday afternoon. The 4030 had been transferred from the Whittaker estate to Mick Halsey on October 15, 2024. From Mick Halsey to Pelton Auction Service on October 17, 2024, for the listed sum of $7,400. 2 days. The full audit trail. The Illinois Department of Agriculture's Bureau of Auctioneer Regulation served Rance Pelton with a formal notice of license revocation hearing on November 14, 2024. Imogene filed the civil suit on Lamar's behalf the same morning at the Iroquois County Courthouse, seeking $14,800 in restitution. The difference between the $19,500 listed market value and the $7,400 the estate received, plus $5,000 in legal fees and full title return on the tractor. Rance Pelton's attorney negotiated for 6 weeks. By December 23, 2024, Rance had signed a settlement agreement, $14,800 cash to the Whittaker estate, $5,200 to Barr and Halberg, full title return on the 4030 surrender of the auctioneer license effective January 15, 2025, and a sworn statement listing 8 other estate sales between 2019 and 2024 in which Mick Halsey or Trent Pelton had served as registered shill bidders. The 8 sales were referred to the Department of Agriculture for a county-wide audit. Lamar drove from Springfield to the Pelton Auction Service yard outside Onarga on Friday, January 3, 2025 at 10 a.m. with Earl in the passenger seat of the Ram. Earl wore the olive green John Deere mesh cap and the dark tan Carhartt chore coat over the buffalo check flannel against the cold January morning. Trent Pelton met them at the gate, opened the side bay of the equipment shed, and walked them to the 4030. The dark factory green was unwashed under the dust of 3 months of indoor storage. The crack in the rear window, the dent on the right rear fender, the paint chip on the muffler shroud. "Lamar, she's all yours," Trent said, dismissive. "Trent, thank you for opening the gate," Lamar replied. "My father lost his license over this tractor," Trent said. "Your father lost his license over how he ran that tractor's auction," Lamar answered. "The tractor didn't ask him to do any of it." Earl helped Lamar load the 4030 onto the trailer. Lamar drove the 4030 from the Pelton yard to Virgil Kemp's 2-bay shop on Route 9 outside Gibson City. Virgil walked around the tractor twice, climbed up into the cab, ran the 4030 through the gears in the gravel drive, and shook his head with quiet approval. "Lamar, the 4030 is sound," Virgil said. "Carburetor's clean, hydraulics hold, the clutch is firm. Glen ran her right for 50 years. There's nothing to fix here. She's ready to work." "Virgil, what do I owe you?" Lamar asked. "Nothing today," Virgil said. "Bring her by in March for an oil change and a hydraulic filter, and we'll square up at $240 total." "Done, Virgil," Lamar replied. Lamar trailered the 4030 the 105 miles back to Springfield that evening. He kept her in his cousin Renata's barn outside Buckley until spring. He drove the tractor down to the Whittaker home place outside Ludlow on Saturday, March 15th, 2025. Glen's 85th birthday would have been that day, and he parked her in the same machine shed Glen had backed her into 51 years before. Earl drove out to see Lamar at the Whittaker place on Sunday, March 23rd, 2025. Renata had told Earl that Lamar had bought the 320 acres back from his uncle the previous month and was planning to put a corn crop in for the first time since 2018. "Lamar, heard you put her in the shed back home," Earl said. "Earl, she's home," Lamar replied. "Heard you bought the 320 back from your uncle," Earl said. "I bought the 320 back," Lamar answered. "The 4030 will pull a 4-row planter through every acre this April." "Glen would be pleased," Earl said. "Earl, I want to ask you something," Lamar said. "Ask," Earl replied. "How did you know about Mick Halsey the day I drove out?" Lamar asked. Earl took his cap off and ran a hand through his gray, stubbled hair. He looked at the 4030 sitting in the shed. Layla Parrish came to Ruth's Bridge Club for years. After Frank passed in 2022, Layla mentioned the auction figure didn't sit right. Ruth put the name Pelton in front of me. I asked around. 3 names came up: Hardin, Ostrander, Parrish. Mick Halsey was the buyer of record on all 3 headline lots. The marriage license to Charlene Pelton was a matter of public record. I'd been waiting 2 years for the right family to push back. Your father's 4030 was the right tractor, and you were the right family? "Earl, I owe you for this," Lamar said. "Lamar, you don't owe me anything," Earl replied. "You owe Imogene the legal fees, you owe Virgil the oil change deposit, and you owe your father a corn crop. You don't owe me." "Earl, thank you anyway," Lamar said. "Plant the 320 acres clean. That'll square it," Earl answered. The Illinois Department of Agriculture's countywide audit of Rance Pelton's auction history concluded on April 28, 2025, with formal findings against 8 sales between 2019 and 2024. Total restitution ordered to the affected estates, $186,400. Total fines paid by Pelton Auction Service, $42,000. Trent Pelton's apprentice auctioneer license was suspended for 24 months. The Pelton Auction Service yard outside Onarga closed permanently on June 1st, 2025. Dale Voss came by the Braddock farmstead on a warm Wednesday morning in early May 2025 in his white GMC Yukon. "Earl, heard you helped take down the Pelton outfit," Dale said. "You heard," Earl said. 40 years that family ran auctions in Iroquois County," Dale said. 40 years that family ran auctions clean for the first 36, Earl replied. 40 years that family ran auctions crooked for the last 4. Lamar's $7,400 paid for the audit. "You make it sound like a sermon," Dale said with a smirk. "I make it sound like a number, Dale," Earl answered. "The number's $186,400 owed back to widows and orphans across this county. The number tells the whole sermon." Dale shook his head with a small mocking smirk and a dismissive grin and climbed back into the Yukon and drove off without another word. Earl watched the Yukon turn out onto Route 9 and disappear over the rise toward Saybrook. The 1974 John Deere 4030, belonging to Lamar Whittaker, pulled a 4-row John Deere 7000 planter through 320 acres of black Ludlow soil between April 14th and April 22nd, 2025. The 9,840 hours on the meter became 9,956 by the end of planting. The clutch held, the hydraulics held, the synchro range slid through every gear the way she had on the day Glen drove her off the Lyman Paxton lot in March of 1974. Lamar parked her at the headland on the evening of April 22nd, 2025, and watched the western sky turn deep amber over the freshly planted rows. Earl sat at the kitchen table at the Braddock farmstead at 8 p.m. on the evening of April 22nd, 2025, with Ruth across the table from him. The white ceramic coffee pot sat between them. Ruth wore her quilted vest over a Henley with reading glasses on a beaded chain. Earl set the cap on the table and ran a hand through his gray stubbled hair. "Ruth, Lamar finished planting today," Earl said. "All 320 acres?" Ruth asked. "All 320 acres in 9 days with the 4030 and a 4-row 7,000 planter. The hour meter rolled past 9,956. Glen would have been proud." "Earl, the audit numbers came in this morning," Ruth said. $186,400 across 8 estates. Layla Parish gets back $24,800. The Hardin estate gets $32,400. 8 families. 8 families that didn't know they'd been fleeced 2 and 3 and 5 years back. They know now. They know now, Earl said. "Earl, I want to ask you something," Ruth said. "Ask," Earl replied. "How long had you been waiting for the right family?" Ruth asked. 2 years from the day Layla mentioned Frank's auction at your bridge club?" I asked around, quietly. I waited for a family with the receipts and the will to push. The Whittaker 4030 had a tractor house listing 2 weeks after the auction with the same crack in the same rear window. That's a piece of evidence no defense lawyer can spin. You waited 2 years for the right tractor? I waited 2 years for the right tractor, Ruth, Earl said. Glen Whittaker raised the right son, too. Lamar drove 105 miles on a Saturday morning in November because his nephew called him. That's the family I was waiting on. By the end of 2025, the cards on Earl's kitchen mantel had grown to 14. Carol Eustace's 1996 8,200 card, Rufus Hemmings's Magnum card, the Cords card, the Parish card, the Hardin card, the Ostrander card, the Whittaker card, and 7 more from the families the Pelton audit had returned money to. Ruth had run out of mantle. "Earl, you need a bigger mantle," Ruth said. "I need a bigger mantle," Earl replied. "Or a wall," Ruth said. "Or a wall," Earl answered.